So let us go ahead and talk about array of pointers here. But before we do that, let's go ahead and declare a normal two-dimensional array. So what we have here is this variable called array, and it's a 2 by 8, which means that we have two rows. Here's the first row, here's the second row, and each row contains 8 elements. So there is 8 elements, and then here we have another 8 elements. And you notice that with an array, which is all of these boxes right here, the bookmark is going to go ahead and point to the place where each set begins. So this is 1000. Here we have 1008. And also, being that it's an array of chars, you notice that each element is actually separated by 1 byte from the other element. Now, we're putting in these strings, in this case John and Peter, and right after we put John, there's a null to go ahead and terminate the string, and then Peter also, there is a null to terminate the string. So this is what we have, a two-dimensional array of chars. It's got 2 sets, and each set has got 8 elements. Now let's go ahead and find out what an array of pointers is. Well, when you go ahead and take a look at the syntax, you will notice that we don't have any parentheses here, but we do have the brackets. And the brackets actually have a higher precedence. And so the way that we read this, we actually go ahead and say that this is an array, which is where the brackets come in. And we have this asterisk, which is pointers. So an array of pointers. And so this array of pointers is able to go ahead and store addresses. So we're able to store addresses of chars. So let's go ahead and find out what that means. So first and foremost, it's an array which contains 2 elements. So here's a single dimensional array that contains 2 elements. So there is just the beginning of where the array begins, and then we have 2000 and 2004, and so we have the indexes 0 and 1. But then what can we put in here in the content area? Well, this is the place that actually tells us what we can go ahead and put inside of each one of these elements. It says that we can go ahead and put addresses of chars. So addresses of chars. So you will notice that what we have done here is we take a look at this box right here. So we have J is a char, and this is the address of a char. So then we can go ahead and put that 1000 in here. Here we have 1008, which is the address of a char, so we can actually go ahead and take that and put it here. So this becomes an array of pointers. Now exactly what does this gain us? Well, what this gains us is that, let's just say that we want to go ahead and sort this array. This array where we have John and Peter, so John is here, Peter is here. One thing that we could do is we could actually go ahead and actually swap the elements in the original array, which is this right here, which means that we take Peter, put it up here, take John, put it down there. But that requires that we move all of this information. Another way that we could actually go and accomplish it is by actually going ahead and saying that we have this array of pointer. And this array of pointer is pointing to all the beginnings of these different strings. And so if I recognize that, for example, Peter needs to go first and then John needs to go second, all I'll do is I'll just go ahead and take this 1008, I'll put it up here, take this 1000, put it down here. And then when I'm ready to go ahead and process this array right here, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and process the array of pointers, which means that the very first element is going to be 1008, and then the second element would be 1000. So the swapping would just require that we go ahead and mess with this array of pointer, which is just the swapping of these 2 pieces right here. Whereas when we're dealing with the original array, we're going to have to go ahead and move all of these elements one by one, and so it takes a lot more effort. So let's go ahead and take a look at the syntax down here. So what we have is the array itself, and what we do is we have gone ahead and declared just a normal variable. This can actually store the address of a char. And here we have an array of pointers, so an array of 2 elements, and each of those elements can hold the address of a char. And then what we do is we go ahead and say, I'm going to go through this array that we have, and I'm going to go ahead and just look at the bookmarks. So first it's going to be array of 0, then it's going to be array of 1. And what that means is that we have array of 0 is 1000, array of 1 is 1008. And what I want to do is I want to go ahead and transfer this 1000, which comes to us from here, to this location. I want to go ahead and transfer the 1008, which comes from there, to this location. So going back to the code again, we take the 1000 and we put it in the first element of this array pointer. And then we go through the second one, the 1008, and that increments as well, and we put it there. So in this way, we have populated the array of pointers. Now, one thing that I want to go ahead and point out here is that here what we have is an array of pointers. So an array that's able to go ahead and hold a bunch of addresses, and this would be the addresses of char in this case. This syntax needs to be differentiated from this other syntax that we saw a while ago. You notice that in this one we actually have parentheses. And when we have parentheses, this means that we're going to go ahead and give a higher precedence to this piece right here. So this becomes a pointer to an array. And where this is being used it gives us the ability to go ahead and take this variable and point it to a two-dimensional array. And I'll go ahead and show you that in just a second, just as a reminder. But in this case, what we're doing is we're creating an array which has this kind of look. In this other instance, all we do is we just have a single box, and let me just take you up. We just have a single box right there that gives us the ability to point to a two-dimensional array. So one just is giving us a single box, the other one is giving us an actual array. And the reason why, once again, we have this kind of notation is because we need to go ahead and know how to go ahead and move from one bookmark to another bookmark, which is embedded in that number 3 that we have. So that's why the syntax looks the way it does. So once again, this one is an array of pointer, which means we actually create an array, whereas this one is just a single pointer variable that has the ability to point to a two-dimensional array. So what I could do at this point is I could say right now that this is going to go and equal to array. So this has the ability to point to a two-dimensional array, just like the previous example that we saw with regards to a two-dimensional array.